I'm in the big leagues, told her don't miss me. Ballin' like Houston, ayy, feeling like Whitney. I need a bag, bruh, send it through quickly.
What is up, football fans, USFL fans, but most importantly, Houston Gamblers fans? Gamblers Table Talk postseason. I thought that last week would probably be the last season 2 episode. You know, I said it a bunch of times, but then something happened, something that I should have foreseen, something that anybody who watched the USFL knew was going to come, was that, let's bring it up on Mark Thompson, got Offensive Player of the Year, OPOTY. Now, this is the second year in a row that the Gamblers have a Player of the Year. Last year, we had Chris Odom, who was Defensive Player of the Year. This year, we had an absolute front runner, Mark Thompson. He deserves it 100%. I mean, if you watched the USFL, you knew that this was going to come. Here's a little graphic that I threw together for him. The guy was electric. The guy was amazing. Like, he didn't start the first 2 games. You know, he didn't play, personal reasons week 1, had an illness week 2. And a lot of people thought, oh, maybe this isn't his year. And then he comes back in and we go on a 5-game winning streak because he's in, or a 4-game winning streak. You know, Mark Thompson was an absolute game changer. The Maulers are going to the championship because of their defense, because their defense is that good. And we beat them because Mark Thompson had 2 touchdown runs that just gashed their defense, absolutely took it to him. So this guy is a game changer. You know, he is wild, and it absolutely made sense. I tweeted, I said, if Mark Thompson does not get Offensive Player of the Year, it's rigged. And then it came out. We got the press release. He's got it. Now, let's look back on the season. 653 rush yards, 14 touchdowns. That is 4 more than the next person. So, number 1 is Mark Thompson with 14. Number 2 is Wes Hills with 10. Remember when people thought that he was better? And then number 3 is Alex Magoo with 5, which is ridiculous. That number 3 is a quarterback, and that it also drops that hard from number 2 to 3. It's half as many touchdowns, but I digress. 4.8 yards per carry. That's fantastic. And 8 games. He only played 8 games. Now, if he had played week 1, week 2, who knows what would happen? Maybe we make a playoff berth. I don't know. But what I do know is that this man had what is the most prolific USFL season that we've seen in the modern USFL as far as rushing goes. And we may not see another one. Even if we had a running back play 10 games next season, you know, we may never see another season this good with 14 rushing touchdowns in 8 games, 653 yards. This was just a ridiculous season that I feel lucky to have been able to cover as the Gamblers representative for the USFL network. And, you know, it's just, you love to see it. I wish that we got to see it in the postseason, but you don't get everything that you want. Life's not fair like that. Whatever. This man had a ridiculous season. It's just, I mean, nobody could hold his jock out there on the field. Mark Thompson was the game changer. Now, let's just look back on 2 plays. We'll just show the Stars game. What an absolute blowout that was, right? But that blowout didn't start until Mark Thompson got us going. You know, this is just, gosh, just the 2 touchdowns that he had in this game are enough to show you why this guy probably not coming back next year. And we'll talk about that in a second. So let's watch him get into the end zone. Great time. Does this celebration? Doesn't really work. All right. So let's go on to Mark Thompson news. So the Offensive Player of the Year, that news came out. It was big. It was great. And then you have to come back down to reality and realize as a spring football fan that when you have a player who's an MVP, who's an Offensive Player of the Year, who's a Defensive Player of the Year, these are players that will be going to the NFL, will get their shot, most likely, and won't be back in the USFL. So the first tweet that Mark sent out today, which was before the Offensive Player of the Week news, he said, weekly reminder, more effective, more impactful, more electric than at least 60% of the running backs in the NFL. He then corrected that with a quote tweet and said 80%. So he's really calling a shot. 6'2", 233, running a sub 4.5 40-yard dash, which I don't know where that number came from, but that's ridiculous. Can catch like a wideout, can play all phases of special teams, contact my agent. So if anybody is watching this who happens to be professional football scout for any of the 32 NFL teams, hit up Sean Stellato. Let's get this guy on a team. But I love the fact that he said could play all phases of special teams because he didn't play special teams in the USFL. He was the guy, right? He was the Gamblers offense for the most part. So they wouldn't let him touch the field on a kickoff, on a punt return, you know, on a punt, even running down as a gunner or something. He was not able to play special teams. but he is showing that he is willing to do that in the NFL. If that's what's going to get him back to the next level, if that's what's going to get him that bag, this man will play on special teams. And I absolutely love the fact that he said that. I love the fact that he corrected himself and said more impactful than 85%. It was 80 or 85% of the running backs in the NFL. That's crazy. I'm a Vikings fan. If we got this guy after we just got rid of Dalvin Cook, yeah, I'm all in on that, man. Let's do it. Now, his next one is a little more telling. He said, at Daryl Johnston, at Coach Mo, Coach Bob Morris, the general manager of the Houston Gamblers, he said, in a business where it's hard to trust anything, you two men always made me feel comfortable. I'm forever grateful. Thank you. Now, this definitely feels like a farewell tweet. And that is, like I said, when we come back to reality as a spring football fan, that when you have a season as prolific, as ridiculous as Mark had this season with 14 rushing touchdowns, 653 yards, that guy is not going to come back. You know, it maybe like, I don't know. He's pretty confident and it seems like he's made up his mind. But last year we saw some players who were pretty confident that they were going to go to the NFL, and they even did for a second, but they came back. You know, we even had Isaiah Zuber, who went up to the NFL, had a touchdown catch and an interception in a preseason game, was on their roster all through the season, and then didn't get a futures deal and came back. So anything can happen. But as of right now, I think that the Gamblers should be building the team for season 3 with the thought in mind that Mark's not going to be there. Now, if he becomes available, yeah, you snatch him up, you drop whoever you have to, sadly, and you get him back on the team. But for right now, I think he's made up his mind. That's the entire point of this league, is to get people back to the NFL, to get paid, to play on Sunday nights. So you love to see it, but also it's sad as a fan of the Gamblers that he's not going to be there. But, you know, all good things. And it shows that this league is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. This league is supposed to be come get some game tape, show what you can do, move back up. And I think that 2 seasons, we've shown that that's a thing. Now, once the season ends after this weekend, man, we're going to see it again. We're going to see if we can break the record of, I think it was like 57 guys signed with the NFL last season after the USFL season. So we'll see if we can break that record this season, see how many people get paid, move up. We get to see their names in preseason games. It's going to be incredibly exciting. Now, this weekend, we have the USFL championship game. There is no USFL authority this week on Thursday because myself, Webb, Xander, and Logan are all going to be in Canton. We're going to be at the game live. We're going to shoot an episode in person. So be watching before the game on Saturday, that we are going to drop a USFL Authority episode live from Canton with all 4 of us. Watch it whenever you want, but it's going to be a blast. I'm really excited. I love seeing those guys. It's the first time that we're going to see Xander in person, so that's very exciting. Another guy who's going to be taller than me. But make sure to tune in. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe, hit that like button. Once we hit 1,000 subscribers, one lucky random subscriber is going to get a signed Kevontae Turpin MVP Cowboys jersey. I really want to get rid of that thing. I've had it for too long. I don't need it. I don't want it. I'm not a Cowboys fan, not a Generals fan, but one of you guys might be. Get this jersey. So with that, thank you guys. I'll talk to you whenever something else happens with the Gamblers, and I'll be back for another episode of Table Talk. Until then, y'all stay all in.
I'm in the big leagues, so they don't miss me. Ballin' like Houston, ayy, feeling like Whitney.